Hello, Psychic Andrew warns. When I do these video blogs, I try to respond to the themes and the topics that I see every day of the week when I'm talking to my clients. And at the moment, I've come up with kind of what I like to call 3 phases of a relationship. And these 3 phases are going to sound a little weird to you, and I get that. And they're kind of what we've got at the moment, though. Well, they're kind of always. The first one is, the first phase is being single when you're not in a relationship. And everybody knows what being single is about because everybody's been there as you know, childhood years, teenage years. I don't need to comment on that, although some people go through their many years of being single and they want to get in a relationship, or they don't, or whatever. So I'm not going to go into that too much. But what I want to do is rush through the sort of the next 2. The second phase is what most people in a long-term relationship go through frequently in their relationship. And the word I use is being smothered. Okay? So what happens? You meet your mate, you meet your partner. It's amazing for the first few months, years. And you're both affectionate, you both get on, it's lovely, it's crazy, you do mischievous things, you live together, you do all those wonderful things, which most people do at the beginning of a relationship. And it's really quite wonderful. And including having, going through all the suffering of, you know, buying houses and cars and children and all that normal stuff of a relationship. Okay, until both people in the relationship feel that the other is not pulling their weight. And as a woman, you're going to say, yeah, but I do all the work around the house. And the guy is going to say some other things as well. Now, what I'm talking about here in any relationship are your values and your partner's values and your rules and your partner's rules. Okay? That's the mismatch. That's why you often don't get on, and that's why things carry on the way they do. I'm calling this smothering, and I'm going to give you some examples of smothering. Okay, and in most Western relationships, there are in this phase of what I call the smothering phase. And you might not use that word, but it's a word I'm going to use. Okay, and if we think about it, some examples, you know, you've been married for years. This is pretty typical. You've been married for years. There's virtually no sex, no laughter, and no deep conversation between the two. Bingo. You may occupy different bedrooms. Your partner comes home, hardly says anything, goes into the back room, turns on the TV or turns on the computer or whatever and does work, wants peace and quiet. You're the one who cooks most of the meals maybe, and organises the children, does all the washing, cleans the house and all that sort of stuff. You know, what does that mean? You're tired and you're worn out and you're pissed off, yeah, all that sort of stuff. You know, these are not new, are they? Now we'll get into a little bit more here, you know, a little bit deeper maybe. You want to go out with some friends and your partner, for one reason or another, is disinterested in you going out with friends or tries to stop you, doesn't want to go to, just doesn't want to, you know, and the classic of that is, you know, when people get together, often you take on his friends or he takes on yours. Normally, you take on his friends and he doesn't like yours or something like that, you know. Who is the one who organises all the visits, the overseas trip? The visits to friends and all that sort of stuff. Usually it's one or the other, okay? It could be your partner smokes cigarettes or drinks excessively, takes drugs or whatever, you know, and there's something about that relationship you don't like. Now, they're what I would call the smothering examples, okay? So, most of us in those relationships, and I've got some diagrams here, you'll see them during the video, they're very simple diagrams, and you'll understand what I mean, okay? So there's another type of relationship, okay? And this is a relationship where this is one and this is the other, and there's an interconnection in the middle there. These are the relationships which are really quite wonderful. I like to call them an intra-relationship. They're much more like interpersonal. I don't even like interpersonal. I like intra-relationship, but it's a bit of a hard term. Actual fact, what I'm talking about is an open relationship. Now, open relationships are normally referred to as the relationship where she goes off or he goes off and has sex with another woman and it's okay by the other partner. Now, I'm going to use that as a little bit of an example here because a few months ago, I met a client, and this particular client, a middle-aged woman, she's been through it all. She's had 3 children, partner cheat on her. He was a psychopath, actually, and she's been divorced for years and years and years, you know. She's a vibrant, she's outgoing, she's a really amazing woman, and I like her a lot, actually. I like talking to her because of her openness, okay? She's been for a few readings, and her life outlook wasn't always the same, but the last 8 or 10 years, she decided she needs to do something different. So guess what? She has an open relationship. She's had various people, various guys in her life, and she's had 2 or 3 boyfriends at once, 3 or 4 boyfriends at once, and they've all been in connected. Some of them haven't liked it, some have, and that's the open relationship. And pardon me, for her, it has worked. It has worked very well. You know, now, she is what I would call a professional, and in her work, she does help people through emotional crap, mostly women in a professional life, but she's also helped a lot of men. Wives have said, can you talk to my husband? And she has. She has talked to the husband. I'm really amazed at this woman. I'm very humbled by, actually, of just how open she has. And would you believe she has even had sex with some of the husbands to make that husband realise, hey, listen, stuff here. You've got a wife. The wife loves you, and you love her. Open up and get over yourself and work on your relationship. It's actually some very nice stuff there. Now. And she's helped these couples to come together. There's quite a few actually come together. So now I'm actually, as I said, a lot of awe of this woman. She's just amazing. In fact, when it comes to doing readings, I don't think I help her very much because she's actually got all the answers. She actually comes to me for some other reasons actually. So the reason that open sexual relationship works is because it is an open communicative relationship. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out and you're going to have sex with your neighbour or go to a swingers club or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I want to use that example for is what works. And the key thing, this woman's actually told me, the key thing to these relationships working is communication. Okay, here's the one of them, and I drew it like this. You know, here's one and here's the other, and you'll see the diagram come up. And it is total. These people, the woman goes out and does what she wants, the man does what she wants, but they come home together and they talk. If the guy's going out and he just happens to see someone he knew from 20 years ago before he met his partner, he comes home and he says, guess what? I met a previous girlfriend today. We're having coffee next week. What do you reckon about that? And his partner may be a little bit, upset about it or something. And she says, tell me more. So he tells her about it, what the relationship was like, where they went to, and the sort of things they did. She says, fine. That's terrific. Go and have the coffee. Go out with her. Now, having sex, different thing, may or may not. That's up to them. I'm not saying you're going to do this. On the other hand, it could be the woman. She meets up with some girlfriends, or goes to a movie once a week, or there's a couple of girlfriends and another man comes along. What does she do? She comes home that night. She said, the girls and I had fun. There was a man there. He was really nice. I spent over dinner, I spent 20 minutes talking to him. And he's in a relationship. He's gay, or he's not gay, or he's something else, and it's really nice. Does that guy get jealous? No. There's no reason to get jealous because they connect. It's really nice because what this relationship, this relationship is all about, is that thing in the center, is total connection between the two. Total openness and total connection. This has not been smothered. This is not, all those other little bits and pieces, like those 8 or 10 points I talked about before. You know, their relationship is open in that they communicate about what's going on in their day, and they work on that. They realise that both of them have different values, different rules and different values, and they talk about those rules and values. And what happens over time is, what one might have a really, really strong rule, might be really, I don't know, against this open sex thing. And after talking about it for 2 years or something, says, hey, hang on, this is a hang up of mine. I need to get over that. I'm not saying they're going to go out and go to swingers clubs or anything like that. But what I am saying, she or he gets over that and goes, hey, hang on, this is not so bad. What am I worried about? There's nothing to be jealous about. It's just the way it is, and that's what makes a really, a really wonderful relationship. And there's nothing saying that a particular individual in the relationship has to go out and do so and so a particular thing. You've got to choose what you want in the relationship. Okay, and you've got to start somewhere. You've got to talk about it. Now, I'll just put a little plug in here, right at the end of this. There is a program on Australian TV on SBS called Insight. You may have seen it. In 2018, I think it was about June, July last year, in 2018, there was an Insight program on open relationships. I noticed it the other day. I've got a link on my website, so if you've seen this, there's a link below. You might want to have a look at that. It's very, very interesting about how young people talk. How these young, well, some of them weren't so young actually, in these relationships, speak to one another and communicate. They got it, okay? So that's your lot, and get on to me if you want to talk more about this, okay? And try, if you're in a relationship, try to go for this more open relationship. I tell you what, it will pay off.